hey, I didn't see you there. You excited to learn about government? Let's go. Whoa! Do you guys hear that? That means it's time to learn. So hey everybody. So in today's lesson is going to be over the checks and balances of the US government, as well as the structure of the government in general. So over here we have the SCOTUS, otherwise known as the Supreme Court of the United States. Here we have the POTUS, the President of the United States, and we have Congress. So if we come over here to SCOTUS, SCOTUS is made up of 9 members that are on the bench, and what they do is they revise and they look at the Constitution to see if the bills and the laws that Congress pass, to see if they are constitutional or if they're unconstitutional. So as we looked last week, SCOTUS is outlined in Article 3 of the Constitution. Here in the middle, we have POTUS, again, the President of the United States. It is one man, and more than likely, his wife, and they make up the executive branch of the United States. And so what they do is when it comes to bills, they enforce them. And so what they do is they're just like, do it. They're the more do it part of the branch. And so they enforce the laws on people like you and me. A more personal example is like a police officer. He's a member of the executive branch, and he enforces the laws on us. When it comes to Congress, Congress is made up of 2 houses, as it is bicameral, bi meaning 2, cameral meaning house. It is made up of the House and the Senate. The House is made up of 435 members, and the Senate is made up of 100 senators, and they get 2 from each state. Alright, so that is the basic structure of the federal government in the United States. We have the Supreme Court, we have this President, and we have Congress, which is made up of the House and the Senate. So as we know, in our previous discussions, the colonists were like, look, it's big government.
Wow, taxes, unfathomable power, monarchy, wow.
Because of that, the Founding Fathers implemented checks and balances. So very briefly, we'll go into what the checks and balances are, give a little bit of a demonstration, and maybe some examples that we can apply them to. So, as we discussed earlier, with the SCOTUS, they review the Constitution and whether or not a bill is constitutional or not. So, what else they can do is when it comes to executive actions, they can also deem it unconstitutional or constitutional. That's something that they can do. With the President of the United States, the President can, as I just showed you, can implement executive actions if Congress is going too slow when it comes to making a bill or when it comes to matters of emergency. What they can also do is they can veto a bill that is passed by Congress. What also they do is when it comes to the 9 justices that are on the bench, they pick who goes on the bench. So they appoint the justices. When it comes to Congress, and they have a lot. So, Congress, what they can do is when it comes to the 9 Supreme Court justices that go on the bench, they approve or deny the appointment. And whether or not they're approved or denied determines whether or not they make it onto the bench. They can also, when the president vetoes a bill, they can override the veto if they have a 2/3 majority of both the House and the Senate. They can override the veto, and the bill's going to go through anyways. So that's some very brief overviews of the bills. So some instances that we've seen, like modernly, we've seen like the appointment of Ketanji Brown Jackson. That went through the president as well as Congress, and she got put on the Supreme Court. Also, what Congress can do is they can amend the Constitution. So as you know, we have 27 amendments, and from those 27 amendments, all of them have to come from Congress. So they can make a 20th amendment if they want to, and that changes the language of the Constitution to what Congress wants. So say, for example, Congress doesn't like what the president does, they can change the Constitution to not allow the president to do that anymore. Something like that. Alright, so this has been the checks and balances of government, a very brief overview. Please feel free to stop by and talk to me in class, shoot me an email, something like that, something along those lines, just so I can make sure that you've got a nice, good, strong foothold of this topic.